Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is Chief Delegate meeting number 9. And lots to discuss today, but we're going to try to keep it terse. A couple of us have other places to get to, and so about a half an hour to get this done right. And then maybe a little more time for extracurricular thoughts if anyone has any. Project updates to get things moving. Who wants to start?
I can, since I'm just looking at my screen. So my update, I am going to be revamping my approach of transparency to not focus on people, because that's where I was initially going to focus on projects and people and any recipient of community funds. And with the recent change of timelines and just events, I'm going to instead redirect my energy and funding to create some tools for transparency of block racers, specifically around where their votes come from and just like some sort of heat map or visualization of shining some light on as to actually how they're getting selected and from where. And I'm not sure how it can look yet, but I think that's what I'm going to try to do instead. So that's the only update for now. Nothing other than that.
I can go next. I've hired a new employee yesterday, so I've sort of been getting him up to scratch and learning how to employ people. It's fun. I haven't really learned. I just paid another sort of business guy to take care of me. Actually, another guy in Eden. So yeah, that's good. And yeah, just getting him up to scratch with the code base and getting in sync with each other and stuff like that. And then taking a look at a couple bugs.
Cool.
I'll go next. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Cool. So we're working on the next iteration of EOSBs. We're looking to do a soft launch January 1. Just as a quick overview, the way we do it now, the queen manages the princess manages the workers manage the scouts. And we're having an accountability problem, particularly with the workers and the scouts. So what we're going to do differently is we're not going to be paying the scouts any more salary. And instead, we're going to use that money for a bounty fund. So anyone can propose a work item, and then they can get paid from the bounty fund. That's kind of the high level overview. I had a conversation with Reiki Cordone of the Haifa team. I told him everything the way EOSBs works. He suggested this model, and I was like, holy shit, that's way better. And so we're working on adjusting our algorithm because we have different pools now. And yeah, so on January 1, we will start doing that. And instead of the newsletters, we'll come out with just a report at the end of the month, every single work item that happened with the bounties. And so everything will be a lot more standardized, and the use of funds will be a lot more efficient.
Awesome. Randall?
All right. We are still building your support. Development is still ongoing so that we can have a very good and excellent platform to deliver on the services that we are providing for the community. Other than that, we are helping as many people as possible, providing support, and that's about it. Nothing major at this time.
Aaron, or Aaron, as some people.
Aaron. I don't really have any development updates over the course of since the last time we talked. I have kind of pulled most of our efforts into research on the working group side of things, which should be wrapping up hopefully in the next 2 weeks, and then we'll put some final polish on the onboarding solutions and those SDKs to make them available to developers. aside from that, I'm going to be focusing on, with this changing landscape, exactly how to deploy the funding that we have available to ourselves the best that I can figure out how. I mean, I think at this point I can come up with a decent summary of what it took us to build what we're going to be releasing, and then figure out what's left and whether that gets redistributed to other projects in the ecosystem to give them a nice kickstart or boost in funding, or if there's a way to, I don't know, put money in the treasury again if it's going to go unused. These are questions that are asked, and the conversations in the Eden members channel, which I haven't caught up on in a couple hours now, I'm sure will provide some thoughtful debate around that as well. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. As for me, I've kind of turned my attention towards some lower hanging fruit. I think with all the wild activity in the Eden members, I'm sorry, the Eden on EOS public Telegram channel, a group of us saw a little bit more need for some more active moderation. We started a discussion about that on Discord. There is an Eden Discord that's up and running that Joshua Seymour put together during the last all delegate call, which we've been slowly making use of. So come on over there if you want to get organized a little bit better than we are currently able to do on Telegram. And yeah, I've done a little video editing stuff. Chuck McDonald put out a really nice condensed version of the last Chief Delegate call. So we're kind of working on streamlining a process, hopefully where people can chop up the calls and make them a little easier to digest for people that don't have a lot of time, even at 2x. Looking at you, Eve. And yeah, continuing the more equal, unpacking more equal animals reading series. Also, that's another one tomorrow, smart contracts. I'm going to actually get this video out tonight, so people might actually hear that before this goes live. And yeah, lots to do, lots to discuss, not much time left. Kind of changing our trajectory a little bit, so we'll see how things unfold. Yeah, legal update. I don't know where to even go with that currently.
I guess my thoughts on that are, like, we had a good call, and we outlined what it is that this group is or was trying to do. And I think that the research that comes out of that, like the opinion or the stance or the ideas, may still be useful in the future, despite that moving ever so slightly. But we won't be getting that back from the sounds of it until early January, just because the holidays are coming up, and the normal business world doesn't operate like the blockchain does 24/7. So I think hopefully what results in that, and from that call and them learning about what we're trying to do with EdenOS, will be able to serve as guidance, maybe for us, but hopefully for others, that whether that's us or somebody else, or whatever happens after the next iteration of this process goes through. So anybody else have any? Did I capture everything?
Yeah, so they gave us advice about, we were considering a joint venture. They said that they did not suggest to go that route. So I think they're leaning more towards a nonprofit. I know they've worked with the EOS Network Foundation, and I think it does make sense for us. We're, like, as a group, we're not trying to earn a profit. We just want to distribute the funds to other projects. And so that was kind of my takeaway from that call.
I think it's, speaking of the EOS Network Foundation, we definitely need to shout out Eve and the ENF for actually not only just suggesting this lawyer, but are footing the bill for this. I think that's so big thanks to them for doing that.
Definitely.
We need to get some lawyers into the core group that can like professional services people that would like want to participate in this experience and can shed their expertise. I mean, I feel like I kind of do that at a technical level, but having a broad group of people would just be amazing. But for the people with the means to be able to do that things within Eden, absolutely, it's super helpful. I mean, I feel like we're stumbling through the dark sometimes, and we're finding our way and learning a lot of things. And hopefully all of that will be shared and continue on to improve the processes.
Which I guess just begs the question now, where there's this in limbo, not only as a new election come sooner than anticipated, but potentially an entire new arrangement of Eden. So the idea of refining processes is a bit, I don't know, ambiguous.
Yeah.
Processes for what?
That's true. That's true.
Refactor the refactor.
Yeah. And I mean, I think my lofty dream was that like there was some sort of entity that could even exist and almost be like a welcoming committee for new people that were coming in. And they're like, this is what you need to know. This is what's happening. This is what is expected of you. Like, I'm sure when you are elected into office within a traditional governance structure, that's kind of what happens. You have an orientation, and we had no orientation, and we're trying to take what we learned. So there could be an orientation for future generations, but we'll see if that's a reality, or we'll see.
Maybe we could produce a document. Yeah. What are you gonna say, John?
Yeah.
I have it. Sure,
Yeah,
afterwards.
the next election's gonna be on the 29th, and that's still gonna be the traditional one that we've just, election that we just had. So yeah, we can start working on some sort of orientation and the sort of, welcome there. I don't think we should lose too much momentum, or, because we don't know how long it's going to be until the next, sort of Eden comes out. And then whenever the new Eden, does come out, there's still going to be, I think, leaders and stuff as well. So I'd be surprised if there wasn't still the use case of, this entity or whatever as a vehicle that can be, used. And, even if there wasn't, I think it's just good knowledge to have for each of us as
Yeah.
professionals in this kind of decentralized sort of blockchain world. So yeah, I don't think we should let it take too much wind out of our, sails.
Yeah, and the legal firm said that they were going to come back with a memo, basically, that would speak to their recommendations for a legal structure that could kind of fit the bill. So that memo, if we don't even do another thing, at least there's that memo that will exist for future administrations. Do we dare say that?
One item I was going to ask in the meeting, we don't have to talk about it now. It's just, are we still doing the next meeting or the meeting after? Like, are we sort of rearranging anything for like our weekly meetings for Christmas, or what's
the
everyone's
holidays.
schedules? Is someone going on holiday or what?
It's the 23rd is next Thursday. Does that affect anybody that wants to not be around? We could skip until the 30th, or move it to like another day after. Somewhere
Fine for
between
me.
Kwanzaa and New Year's Eve.
I can be flexible. My schedule will be normal over the next couple weeks. So if it's here, fine. If we need to move it, let's figure that out.
Yeah, I could do the 23rd.
So we can all still do the 23rd then? You good, Randall?
Cool.
Mighty quiet, Randall.
Yeah, I'm exhausted, man, from all the drama.
I
It kind of beat me down a little bit.
know, yeah.
Yeah, Randall's been going pretty hard on Telegram.
Yeah, I was trying to help as much as I can.
Yeah, you're our motivational, I don't know, you're like the even keel that it's like, hey guys, look at it this way.
Yeah, because I think EdenOS is going to bring a lot of good, especially for a community in a developing world, right? So I look at it from that perspective. So I always think of it like this: if we are able to get this experiment going, we can help so many people, especially people from developing countries, who need this the most. So I'm always trying to do the best that I can to make sure that, you know, we don't give up, but we continue to, you know, at least calm everyone down and make this work.
Honestly, I feel a lot less pressure now. Because I think before, when we were like, we need to create the structure that all future like chief delegates will be able to leverage and blah blah, and there's so much room there to explore and to work, and it's going to happen. It's going to take time, but now I feel a little less pressure because there's not as much time to really even accomplish things, but there are little things that need to get done that will have a big impact. So that's kind of where I want to focus my efforts now.
And that's amazing, by the way. I like it. The whole moderation support. That's amazing. And I think it's a great thing that you are doing. Great initiative. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to pay attention to whatever the community thinks needs to get done and back it, and like nudge people to like organize and take action and then support them.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe I could kind of front run the new election style a little bit if at some point we move to the weekly election and it's like show up and say what you've done over the preceding week and then get paid potentially for it.
I think you can, right?
We could kind of do that now.
Yeah. With the chief delegates, thinking about meeting every week. Why not? Right? Like you can record it, see what each person has done with their money, and you know, the ones that have done a great job, maybe you can match their funds a little bit with your funds. You know, just try to give them a little bit more incentive to continue doing a great job. You know, maybe see how that works out.
Yeah, delegates or even just members that are taking initiative. Like I think we have some people that aren't even, I can't keep track of who's who, to be honest. It's like we don't have badges. It's like delegate, I'm just a member. But you're all delegates to me.
Yeah.
Anyone want to talk about the Eve funding suggestion?
Let's flip 3 and 4, Lovejoy.
All right, Eden 2.0. Thoughts?
Sounds good. I'm excited for it. I think it would really incentivize further work.
Yeah, I really like the thoughts that are coming out in the new system. From my perspective, there's a bit of a gap in accountability in the current system. You get elected, 6 months goes, you get the funds every month, and you could potentially just run away with the funds. Yes, it hurts your reputation, but still the system loses funds. And so I really like the weekly kind of checkups and the funding that's attached to that. It's still unclear to me what the role of leaders like the chief delegates, how that's going to work in the new system. But I do, and you know, I'm thinking of very similar things with the Bs in terms of accountability. But I think the real challenge here is balancing accountability with continuity. And so I'm really interested to see how they're going to achieve that balance. And I think if they can, it's going to be a really great system.
Yeah. I like this model in that this model allows us to create more communities very quickly, because we are basically just, I would say, being very competitive every week that we meet, pretty much. And there's going to be incentives for people to create more businesses and projects. And this will also motivate people to use their own pocket funds to start a business and come to a meeting or an election to get more funding to, let's say, expand on it. And those businesses are going to eventually create the communities, right, that we are thinking of. And I don't know what the inflation part is, something that we still have to think about. But over time, these communities can grow bigger, and they can issue tokens. All right, if you look at the model, they can issue tokens, and these tokens can actually be, let's say, the shares of that community that has been built. And I kind of like this because it allows each community to have its own currency and provide its own value. And by having that value created, right, the members who are in there will have common interest to want to support the community greatly, because in essence, they will want to, quote unquote, pump the token, pretty much. So communities who are not providing that much value over time will also die off, right? So this thing just brings a lot of competition, a lot of incentives for people to join Eden, and also rewards for the actions that each Eden member or individuals or projects are bringing to the table. So if you take it as individual parts, it's very difficult to see what this Eden process is going to be. But when you start to put it together as a whole, it's just a beautiful thing that I'm hoping, if we are able to engineer it very well, polish it very well, have a good tokenomics, and more importantly, have EOS backing it, it will be awesome. Because basically then we have leveraged all of EOS with Eden, pretty much. So that's my take.
Yeah, my view is I just don't feel like I know enough, honestly. Kind of short on details to really form much of an opinion. So I don't want to be negative or anything. And it seems a bit complicated. I mean, so certainly it doesn't seem like it's more complicated than what we currently have. So I guess that's not always good, but maybe it's good. I don't get the tokenomics exactly, and I don't understand how these communities are going to support each other. It seems like it could be combative if they're all fighting over a joint pot. And I don't the other part that doesn't make sense to me is like the one thing, like we were hoping, like we didn't even get around to reviewing the videos from the last official election. Who exactly is going to review the videos from weekly elections? My guess is absolutely no one will, unless that's something you're going to pay yourself to do. And that's one of these jobs that gets paid for. But so like there might almost be less accountability in this way. But again, I don't know enough details. So I'm going to have an open mind, certainly, and wait to learn more, I guess.
Well said. I think I kind of agree. I don't really know enough. I could sit here for a half an hour and point out potential situations that are problematic with the approach. There's a lot I don't understand about what it is, and my gut says we should be running both of these in parallel instead of replacing one with the other, just to give both experiments a chance to see itself through. Because I don't think, and I know that the upcoming election is what we're all experiencing right now. Like this isn't changing for the next election, but I don't even know if that's enough time to fully vet what experimentation is going on now. And maybe eventually this process we're in is representatives from the smaller groups that go through political playoffs like we all did. I don't know. Or maybe this sits on top of that worker level. I don't know. There's so many questions, and that's going to take so much time to get through. And so right now the best thing is probably just to wait for more information. More uncertainty.
Yeah, y'all pretty well covered it. Yeah, I don't really have an opinion one way or the other because I don't know what it is we're looking at yet, but I guess on a philosophical level, I just hope that it doesn't devolve into, I kind of spoke to this earlier in the meeting. I don't think it was recorded. I think being able to be accountable and track contributions is really valuable on one level, and on another level, a network benefits by a bunch of totally immeasurable connections and inputs that can never be measured. And the desire is to try and like push everything into this totally transactional space. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the desire of this new system, but I fear that things could drift in that direction. And it's very difficult to know in advance who is going to bring what kind of value and to make space for it. Like there's an element of, yeah. I hope we have enough spaciousness like in this new system that it allows for people to participate that don't necessarily know exactly what they have to offer, but can find out through being a part of a community, because it's not everyone that's going to show up with a fully formed initiative and jump right in. People need to find themselves in the community. So yeah, hopefully there's some room for that.
Yeah, 1 week may not be enough to show like enough value to get validated for the next week for more funds. I don't know. I know it totally depends on the project, but also I was thinking like maybe for like the continuity part, maybe Eden is not even trying to be that, and maybe like Pomelo is more for continuity, Eden's more for accountability. I don't know.
Yeah, so the one thing that we have to think about firstly is that the whole point of Eden is to reach consensus, right? That's the first thing. So now we have a way to reach consensus, right? So we're just forming meetings, or we are creating meetings every week to build these consensus over time. So there can be one meeting that a person who's providing quality project value that's not getting noticed, right? And maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks down the road, they will be noticed and they will get funding. And they might go on for 2 weeks and they might not get funded, and they will get funding again. But over time, it will average out and they will have enough funding for their project. So the whole point of this system is to create different like iterations amongst the people in the community who are providing value. And we, the community, are now putting, like just you were saying, same thing. We are putting accountability on each member in the society or community for what they've done, right? So we are putting value on the work that somebody is doing. I mean, is it perfect? It's not perfect, and we are still waiting for the details. But overall, this is what I think Dan is trying to accomplish at this point in time. But the biggest thing is we have the mechanism to reach consensus in the community. And I think that's one thing that is like, it's not changing, right? Eden is to build consensus, and over time to have trust in a person, that you can trust them, that if Randall is coming every single week and Randall is doing work, I trust that if I give Randall funds, he will do the work that he said he's going to do. That's all that this is, right? So we can have daily meetings. It doesn't matter. If I show up and I said I was going to do something, and you trust me that you will give me the money for me to do it, then that's all that matters, right? But in the process, we are using this consensus algorithm that we've established to build many communities, because now we can have a movie production or film production community, and they can have their own tokens, and they can be doing all their things that they want to do, and they will come to meetings every week. And if I think they're doing a good job, I'll reach consensus for them. And sometimes if I think, you know what, I've given them enough money, I'll give it to someone else. I'll choose someone else. I'll convince the group that, you know what, guys, we've paid these guys too much. They've done a great job, but maybe we should give this one to maybe Violet Garden because they need more funding, right? So if we have people with common interest who are reasonable and willing to work for the good of the community, this should not be a problem at all, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's all an experiment. We can't make too many assumptions as to what is going to happen. Sometimes you just gotta, test it and see if it, screws up, see if it does well. One thought I did have was there's going to be cases where, like, especially with Aaron's kind of work, you can do weeks worth of development for stuff that just isn't like sexy. So I can, it didn't take me too long to do NFTs, and I could have, took a few more shortcuts to make it happen, kind of thing. But I could say, oh yeah, I did NFTs and I did this, and I can, make it sound like I did a lot of work in a week, and then Aaron would be like, yeah, I wrote some code towards this thing. It's going to take a long time to do. It's not sexy, but it is more important than, NFTs on Violet Garden in the whole for the community. So I wonder if, some people, that would be a sort of disadvantage in that kind of space. But at the same time, I think another thing that's going to happen is that when we are in these, weekly meetings, again, you have your Zoom call on one screen, right? And then you'll have the UI on another. And we can actually see, if you're in a meeting of Aaron, you're like, oh shit, like, Aaron, you haven't been paid for 3 weeks. Like, that is going to help steer you more towards, going to Aaron or whatever member, kind of thing. Because then you can kind of see, your fellow Eden members if they're starving and stuff as well. So I think, I don't know, again, it's an experiment, so we'll see what happens.
And John, there's something that you said that I think if we have reasonable members in a group, they would think about, right? So we are all not the same in that, for me, medicine is easy for me, right? That's what I do, right? Some doctors, medicine is also a little difficult for them, even though we have the same, let's say, profession, right? Some doctors, it's a little bit difficult. So one diagnosis takes them a long time. Some doctors, they just walk in the room, they'll give you the diagnosis, right? It's about the value that you are providing at the end of it all. So for me, even though it's taking 5 minutes, and some other doctor, the same diagnosis, take them, let's say, maybe 3 days. At the end, the insurance companies are going to pay you the same amount for that diagnosis that you reached. You get what I'm saying, right? Right. So at some surgeons, it takes them a long time for them to do a procedure. Some surgeons, they do it very quickly, but you are still getting paid. So how good you are to do something should not take away from the value that you provided at the end of it all, right? So you have to look at the value as it stands at the end of it all. That, okay,
so long as the people recognize that value, like there's value that Aaron, just the library that I'm using, not many people are going to appreciate that other than developers. And it wasn't until I used it, it's like, oh shit, like this is cool. But like, you guys don't think it's cool because you're not developers and like you haven't had that, experience kind of thing. Like, I'm sure if we explain it enough to, you would appreciate it. But again, it's just stuff that kind of flies under the radar. And, when you're in these meetings, they might not be able to see the sort of, value in it. But again, I think I said in the other meeting, there's going to be financial incentive just to rock up to the meeting, not even having done any work. So I think there's, in theory, it'd be okay because again, there'll be, there might be, 3 people that haven't done any work and they just want to vote. And then there'll be, 1 or 2 sort of workers. And then again, you say, oh, I've done blah, blah, blah. And, you might have little competition or no competition. I don't know. Can't make too many assumptions on what the ratios are going to be, but that might be the case as well. So might not have this kind of, well, I did more than you, but and then these sort of arguments. I don't think we're going to have like 4 or 5 people each squabbling for the funds, because I don't think all 4 or 5 people would put up their hand and said that they actually did much towards Eden.
Well,
but it will average out, right? Overall.
I don't even I mean, think about if we have these elections that are further spread apart, like people are more willing to come in and just vote to make their voice heard. But if these are weekly reoccurring things, the people that aren't seeking funding will probably dwindle because it's no longer an election. It's now a job. They don't want to go to that stand up. So
But if they
I
get
can
paid
only
for it,
imagine it'll increase. Do
Well,
they get paid
well,
for it?
Aaron, they get paid to show
They
up,
get
yeah,
even if you're
yeah.
not
All
But how
right.
much?
looking for a job.
Like,
Yeah.
it's different showing up once a week for, 20, like, what's the opportunity cost just to show up? Like, if you got other
Right.
shit going on in your life, you know what I mean? Like, if by showing up you can guarantee a budget for the next 3 months, that's a whole different value proposition than like, well, then I got to show up next week and maybe I don't get anything that to follow up with it.
No, I think it's you always get at least something every week if you show up and vote. But it
right,
may not be enough. But
it may be
still, yeah, it may not
insufficient.
be
Yeah,
enough.
No, but what about the fact that you are showing up to be part of the community and to have a voice, right? So that in itself, for some people, it means something, right?
Yeah, well, there's still people that show up for the weekly meetings just, to talk shit kind of thing. So I think, that they still do it for the
Yeah.
love of it. And then again, it's not like it's work. It's not that work. Like, I'm sitting on my couch right now, like, to have a chat. Plus, again, it's an hour max. So you could have some meetings go for 20 minutes. And you're like, yep, cool. We're all decided. 20 minutes of that. On a Zoom call, and then you get paid for it, and then it goes on the blockchain and stuff. I think that'll be enough to satisfy people, especially some people that again don't make as much money or haven't or want to get into the realm when you're actually earning money online. That can be tricky to do, actually making money on the internet compared to the real world as well. So there's plenty of people out there that want to make money on the internet. I think it'd be okay.
I kind of wish I knew what Eden wanted to fund though. Like,
When you say
should-
Eden, you mean Clarion or like Eden Community or what?
well, I mean, we have a treasury. Eden has a treasury, and
Yeah.
I don't know what direction, what hand Clarion wants to exercise in, deciding what we do or do not, concern ourselves with. Right now, we've seen the ENF and now Helios both kind of step in to take bites out of, really important work that needs to get done in different ways. And like, part of me is like, well, what's left for Eden to do, and other than make sure Eden is running smartly? And then what's Eden running smartly for? If not, if all these other things are covered, and Pomelo too, funding these big projects. Like, I think
Eden is human. Eden has the humans, verifiable humans.
awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
like,
well,
for what?
Again, yeah, but
For Violet Garden.
we create a community. Like, what is a blockchain without a community? And so the bigger community we create, and then the more work that we do, I think over time it will naturally get more responsibilities. Again, as we demonstrate our work capacity, as we grow as a community, and run these experiments in order to make it DAO, because it's experimental DAO stuff that we're kind of doing. So yeah, as we go stronger, we'll get more power, and I'd say we'll have a bit more influence in the rest of the network. We're still only a baby at the moment. We're still yet to prove ourselves. Still got a long where to go, but yeah, it's every other player in the network is you're more a traditional model. Like, none of them are DAOs, none of them are decentralized as we are. And we pay challenges and taxes for that, but at the same time we then get the advantages of DAOs and stuff like that. So we're playing the game on hard mode in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that. The other thing I wanted to say too about responding to what you're saying, John, about like coders doing work, or different people like doing work that isn't particularly sexy and that you can't really see results from right away. And the same is true in the creative world too, like film. I mean, I could I could put a team of people on working on animation and all this stuff behind the scenes for like 3 months with nothing to show for it if I wanted to, and then produce something really excellent. But it would be extra work for me to just try and show you, in process, like what those people were working on. Be like Aaron marching out his code, being like, well, I got this. I mean, maybe it'd be a little more visually appealing because we could do like screen captures and be like, see, look, proof that someone did an animation. But whereas Aaron would be like Matrix. But there's a lot of, and it's not just that. It's like communications, like all the ethereal forms of value that could be added to a community are also can be very hard to show immediate results for. Like a lot of the best and like a lot of the imagine if Dan had to apply the same like thing to his own thinking, like and he had no track record, let's say, and he just showed up to Eden and he was like, I've got this great idea. It's going to take me like 3 months of heads down work to like put it all together. Like there's nothing you can really show until like the final thing is together, and it's the result of all this protracted observation and analysis and discussion and conversation that's then distilled down into this final thing to show. And I guess I'm just a little afraid that we're going to only value these like really short-sighted like gains rather than like take the longer view of like, we need to fund capable people that can just dig in and be comfortable that they're dug in where they're dug in, because there's a cost to giving up everything else in your life to do this, and to like invest in the community with their time and energy, and then later produce some amazing shit that no one ever saw coming. But if you just got them busy doing like quick wins all the time, and because that's the only thing that the game rewards, then I'm not sure you're going to get like a real, like you're not going to accrete value in the same way. You're going to just get like a bunch of one-offs, know?
There's got to be two elections, I think.
Well, and I think that's what you just said it in a way that I haven't been able to describe yet, but it's very aligned with what I've been thinking. Is like, we've talked about this in the past about how Eden can only, in its current structure, fund things up to a certain size. Like, I ran on this account creation idea. I couldn't get any bigger than that because I couldn't anticipate any more than that. And this new structure, we have to think about whether this is shrinking the scope of that or if it can expand the scope of that, because this might turn into, I couldn't have even run on this week to week. Like the scope of the projects might end up being so much smaller that it does reward those like really small, incremental, visible potential things that you can touch and feel each week evolving. And we need to make sure either that's not Eden's purpose or something else can fill that void. And maybe the ENF and Pomelo and Helios and all these other vehicles could be that. And just be cognizant of where Eden is going and like, what is Eden's purpose now? If it is the daily or the weekly worker, that's cool, but we might be limiting our audience of those who can participate. Like, I might not want to participate if I can't meaningfully enable my team to achieve long-term goals. Does that mean I don't belong in the governance system that comes along with Eden? I don't know. I mean, I'm here to help in sort of a leadership capacity more than building the things that we're gonna build anyways. We need funding to build those things, but they're big projects. And your example of Dan was another good one. It's those are out there, and that leadership should still exist in this system somehow. And I guess we just need more information on how.
Yeah, well, from my understanding, the leadership in the new model will sort of include, you know, those who show up to the weekly meetings and receive the, you know, the sort of work will, you know, get better, you know, reputation, and then whoever has the highest of reputation things sort of get, you know, up a certain level, and then they can sort of set a term, you know, their sort of, you know, similar to what chief delegates look like, and then, you know, they can go there, and then, you know, that then gets, you know, reshuffled every few months or whatever time period it is, you know, based on the next, you know, round of people, you know, if they keep consistently, you know, getting the work done. But yeah, there is a sort of, you know, level of sort of maturity that I guess members, you know, need in order to, again, you know, fund the, you know, the sort of long-term, you know, stuff that doesn't provide the instant wins or, you know, whatever quick wins. In which case, there's always the ability to, you know, secede. It's just a matter of, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, getting funding. But, you know, if we weren't satisfied with the, like, if an Eden group wasn't satisfied with its members and there was, you know, too much conflict, then again, the idea with, you know, Eden is again to secede if you become too big, or, you know, there's too much conflict, and go your own way.
Yeah, but you guys are right in terms of you know, this process being used to fund big projects. But if I had gray mass in a group that I'm in every single week, all right, based on, Aaron, your track record and your hard work, if there's a project that is not as good, right, I'm possibly not going to vote for that project, right? Because I'm going to vote for you. So a lot more times than not, you are going to be getting, I would say, a budget for your project. But if you think that you have enough money, then you can say to yourself that, you know what, guys, I have enough money for my project. Maybe we should give it to John. John needs it more than I do, right? So we will give John, at that point, we will reach consensus and give John the budget for him to build his stuff.
The only case where Aaron doesn't get paid is again, yeah, if we have several, you know, meetings and people will see in the UI that Aaron hasn't got paid and they still haven't, you know, valued, you know, his stuff. So yeah, I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, and it just depends on what those budgets are too. I mean, it's possible that some of these larger projects don't even fit in these budgets for years. And so the groups that want to run those projects have to go elsewhere for the time being and not participate in this weekly worker thing. Like if I had a project that full-time was getting funded by some other entity, I wouldn't want to come in and take funding from the process just to be involved in the governance side of things. So there's a little conflict there that needs to be addressed somehow. So
yeah, that's
there's
true.
a lot of questions that I think we'll all have based on our own personal experiences and what's going on and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve. It's going to be interesting.
Well,
But the governance part of it, I'm sorry, John, quick one. The governance part of it can be this. Aaron, we can give you the money.
Hopefully.
But we can give you the money, but we're not giving you the money for you to use the money on yourself. We are giving you the money because we trust that you are going to take the money to give it to a project that is needed.
Potentially.
are we gonna have a chat about Brock Pierce and his antics?
Oh man, I don't think we have time for that today. That's like a special bonus edition. or something.
Yeah.
Was that even
The
on there?
behind the scenes
Oh,
DVD.
well, let John say what he wants to say.
Yeah, John, do you? I just got to leave
No,
soon
well-
and I'm recording. So at the bare minimum, I would just have to walk away from leave my computer on and recording and then come back to it later.
It'd be like
From
8 hours
my
of
unders-
recording.
Yeah.
From my understanding, he again the deal went, you know, sour with the ENF. They blocked, you know, further funding through the vesting. This upset Brock Pierce. He then got cooked, and then got on a call with Eves and the block producers. Is that right, Aaron? And then he started issuing death threats and had a bit of a rant saying that he makes presidents sign things, and that wasn't part of the 13 colonies or some shit.
I don't remember everything that was said. There were 2 calls though. One was with Eves earlier in the day, and then one was later on with maybe 20 or 25 VPs.
Right. But we're pretty confident that he issued death threats to Eve.
I replied in Telegram. I was like, I don't know what I consider to be a death threat. I'm an online gamer. I'm sure I get threatened every day in some way that could be construed that way. So yeah, I'm not downplaying it at all. It was a very intense day and things were not handled in a way that they should have been.
Right. But and again, he was intoxicated, likely more than booze as well, apparently. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's what I gauged from that Telegram message. The January guy. Should I forget his name?
Tim, maybe?
Yeah, I think it's Tim. But anyway, he then got on an interview, and that's that sort of by-wire interview, right? And he gets interviewed in a club.
Has the whole thing been released yet?
I haven't seen it.
Not yet.
No.
Just the teaser, right? Yeah.
So again, he gets drunk, might have, you know, be on drugs as well. He issues the death threats. He wakes up, has no memory of it. Gets in an interview in a nightclub while also drinking, like, and then, you know, says sorry at this nightclub. Like, I don't know, it doesn't seem very like sincere. Like, if I woke up and Aaron told me, mate, like, you said you were going to kill me, you know, I wouldn't then go, oh yeah, and then open up another beer and then, you know, say say that I'm sorry. I don't know.
So,
Like,
so
it
some of that
doesn't
stuff
seem-
is allegedly. Just
Yeah.
Well,
disclaimer there.
that message that Tim said, I think I forwarded it in our group. Actually, we had Daniel Keys back it up. We had Aaron back it up. We had another guy, another January guy, I think,
Ross.
back it up.
Russell.
Like,
How did that
like-
call not get recorded is what I want to know.
Yeah, me too.
I think it was a private BP call, wasn't it?
I know, but doesn't
Yeah.
someone at some point just go, you know, Jesus Christ, I gotta like, you know. Anyway,
Like,
All
like,
right.
yeah. If we got Aaron and Daniel Keys, you know, backing up that message, I think it's pretty safe to say that, you know, what is in that message is accurate. And yeah, I don't think it was very professional of Brock, and his apology was pretty half-assed. If, you know, he's doing it in a nightclub. And
I haven't
you know,
seen it yet. So like we said just a minute ago, like the video is not out. I'm biting
Well,
my
in the
tongue
teaser,
essentially.
A 4-minute teaser came out and there was an apology there. Maybe there was another apology that hasn't come out yet. But
Well, it was an apology to Eve, so
yeah. Oh, yeah, a direct apology
Yeah.
off camera. Yeah.
well, and
Yeah.
in the video, it was an
Yeah.
apology to Eve about the first call.
Oh, but the first call.
Yeah,
I
I have
just-
a question. Okay, I was gonna ask Aaron if he knows if Eve accepted an apology or no.
I think he posted a message saying as such that at this point we need to move beyond everything and see if there's a future. I mean, that's what I've kind of said on Twitter. That was I've detached from Telegram and Twitter over the last couple days just because it's
Yeah.
been so intense. But I mean, at this point, I'm just waiting to see what that interview said, and I'm curious as to why it's been delayed so long.
he just
Edited.
posted, Bywire just posted that the background noise was making it difficult for his editors
Yeah.
to the difficult location to
All
shoot in,
right.
and that's why it's being delayed.
But
Yeah.
again, that reflects on Block. Like he's a billionaire, right? He can provide an environment to like for a platform to say sorry on. Like it, yeah. Again, doesn't seem sincere. Like I'm sure he had that party planned, but come on, you can't take 5 minutes out, to have this interview. Because again, the whole community knew it, saw those messages that was being said. So yeah, pretty crappy. Like I don't know, he didn't put much effort into it, did he?
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the BPs were on the call. They feel what they feel. It'll be interesting to see in the future what their relationship, if any, will be with Brock and the Helios team. But I'd like to move on to something that I took a stab at. I put some thought into the original Eve cookie, and so and in terms of Eve had asked us in a private call, how much should the ENF donate to Eden? And he thought to ask us as chief delegates. We're probably the most appropriate team to ask. And so I'll just present shortly or briefly what I kind of thought about. So there's two buckets here. There's our individual stuff and what we need as a group. And it was challenging because like I can think of my own individual thing with the bees, but it's total in the treasury. And so if I say a number, that will affect everyone. So anyways, I came up with, I met with all the princess bees, and we had determined that around 2.27x, that would put the average salary at around 20 EOS a month versus 8 right now. And so the original investment of 265,000, that would put it up to 600,000. So I tried, that's my number, Eve, 600,000 EOS is what should be the next investment. I think it's reasonable for most projects, not over the top. It's 8% of the total in grants and savings account. And so that's my number for individual projects, 600,000.
I don't have an answer yet, but it's a great question. My feeling, and part of it's the problem is like we don't know how the system is changing, so it's very difficult to answer that question now. I would think that to produce optimal results, you would want anyone that's selected as chief delegate to have enough of just a straight up income to not worry about doing anything else, so they can solely focus on Eden and whatever that figure is. And then on top of that, you need money for funding projects.
Should we be coming up with these numbers independently though? Because if we all express our numbers, then I might be swayed by your numbers, and then it's not going to be accurate for Eve, is it?
No. Yeah, I didn't think we were going to have this conversation live on like, but Jesse just threw that out there.
Well, I put it earlier in the itinerary this morning.
Yeah, like we can discuss it, but we probably shouldn't be discussing numbers. I don't know.
You said
why not?
Eve funding suggestion, which I didn't know.
But that's what he asked us to do.
Yeah. But he didn't say how to deliver.
He was
the message,
lamenting
right?
how it took us so long to come up with a number for him. So I thought, let me come up with a number.
But he said, you pick, I choose. So he will provide the numbers. So basically he wants to pick from the 6 of, the suggestions.
Right, so that's my
number.
number. And
yeah,
so you guys
but if you tell us your number, then we'll be like, oh yeah, and then that's going to impact what our number is going to be. Because
not necessarily.
if all five of you lay down a number, obviously that's going to sort of sway my number kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, anyway, 5 of 6 out of us don't have an answer to that right now. So sorry, Eve, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer for that cookie. And but it's a great question. been further complicated by unknown timeline situations and stuff.
No, but
which
it's not even if the next group gets, it's not just for us, it's just the groups that come after too. Like what's a reasonable, I know they're different projects, but just like what's a reasonable amount for chief delegates?
Yeah, but
If it's-
Eve isn't in control of what chief delegates receive. You know, I mean, he could give money directly to chief delegates, but everything
No,
else
yes,
goes
he
through the
is.
smart
He can-
contract,
Right, and that controls how much the chief delegates make.
which is controlled by the Clarion team and Dan. So
Yeah, but
Eve
it's a
could give
set-
us
a
Eve
smart
could give
contract
us
is a set
$10
number.
million and Dan could decide that chief delegates are getting, you know, X. Like the two
1%
things
instead
are
of 5. Yeah.
barely related. Yeah. Like, so
Right, so assuming the current variables in the smart contract.
right.
So can we talk about my numbers? Because I have some numbers there. Look
Yeah,
at
see,
the top.
Randall's got a number. Come on, Randall.
Okay, but that's got to be it. I'm not prepared, and I gotta go anyway. Like
Oh, you have to leave?
20 minutes ago.
Guys, this is funding. We need funds. This is not something to sweep under the rug here.
Well, we're not
No
trying
rug.
to sweep it under the rug.
I wanted for you to share my photo, because I have a nice photo here. Maybe when the
Oh, yeah, I
community.
downloaded those. Hold on a second. Where are they? 1 second, please. Talk amongst yourselves. Photo. All right, 1 moment. Share screen.
All right.
So is that the right one? Or you want the
Yes,
other one?
it is. No, it's this one. So pretty much we are putting together a proposal so that we can hand it off to the ENF if they want to fund EU support long term. And as you can see, the customer service cost, if we have we have 28 agents, 6 language leaders, and 1 manager. Okay. And then we went through the development cost, and also we talked about the fixed cost, right? If we have to do it for 28 agents for now, monthly we will need 13,992 EOS. All right. So I did this with my guys, and that's how much we will need monthly to have a 24-hour, 28 agents helping people in the community. We thought this was very reasonable, and this is based on the algorithm that we have right now. All right. So we can shrink this to 6 agents. We can do 10 agents, 20 agents. But if we decide to do 28, this is how much we will need. And I think I really want to do 28 because over time, my goal is to provide moderators as well, because the support agents can also help with moderation. So that's that.
The other photo, not so much. I haven't looked at it yet.
Say it again.
Do you want to see the other photo that you sent me, or just that one?
No, that's just a back page.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Damn, Randall outdid you, Jesse. He had a freaking presentation ready to go. Well, you guys have like really like awesome concrete services that you're trying to provide that require you employing other people and having, you know, like you're trying to meet certain goals. John probably he just hired another person. He probably only has so much he can throw at Violet Garden all at once, though. And Aaron's got like a whole row of hats behind him you can't even see because his background's blurred out.
I
But-
could hire like a dozen people right now.
Yeah, we're kind of all over the map.
Yeah, but Randall, try to put yourself in the shoes of Eve. So they donated 265,000 EOS. And he's asking, what should that next number be? So I understand that you just gave a number for your own project, but try to extrapolate that into what the ENF should donate to Eden.
Yeah.
Let's just try to do this for next time.
Yeah, I mean, well, we also don't need to deliver this message. I mean, we can reach Eve a number of different ways too. We can just give him this message. I mean, I don't mind sharing it with the community, of course, but I'm just saying, like, if there's an urgency about it, like, we don't need to wait till next Thursday. We could just be like, you know, anytime.
We can start a discussion in the Eden community Telegram, right? Start a discussion that, guys, how much do you guys think that we need for the next election?
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised. People will come up with very thoughtful answers.
Yeah, but he wanted the answers from the 6 of us, right? Not everyone.
Yeah,
He did ask the 6 of us. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
he did originally put it in Telegram.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
that's
everybody
true
to see.
That's true too.
So it's kind of
let's give him answers from the 6 of us. Should we give ourselves a due date?
Yeah, next week.
sure.
Cool. Next week, this time next week, we'll have our numbers done.
Right before Christmas.
Yeah, you're in the
Yeah.
Christmas spirit.
Yeah, Christmas
Perfect
present.
to pitch Eve in the Christmas spirit.
That's right. Stocking stuffers for everyone. I'm loading up the whiskey right now.
I have a quick question. When are we getting our Pomelo funds? When are we getting that?
I saw a message in Telegram earlier that said they were working on the final analysis of everything, and early January was, I believe, the date given.
Okay.
So that was well, you can look in the Pomelo Telegram, like the beta channel, whatever that was. I don't know. They'll probably announce something soon, probably before this video comes out. If they're telling us publicly in Telegram, then hopefully that some news is coming.
Yeah, it usually works that way. All right, guys, we should wrap. Unless there's any other pressing bits that someone wants to cover real quick.
No, not without opening another whole can of worms. We've had 2 of those now.
Yeah. And I have bit my tongue pretty hard through that.
Yeah, I think we're improving
Me too.
here.
Me too.
Yeah. So, all right, y'all. We'll see you all next week. I'll get this out fast, and so people will actually have a week to watch this before the next one is released.
Right.
And see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Stay positive.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right.
Cheers.
Okay.